The Jack Lynx 500 at Talladega was fundamentally reshaped at lap 115 by a single momentary miscalculation that triggered a 26-car pileup. While running at the front of the pack, Ross Chastain delivered a high-energy shove to the rear bumper of Bubba Wallace at the exit of the backstretch. The contact proved too aggressive for the Gen 7 car's aerodynamics, turning Wallace's number 23 Toyota sideways at nearly 190 mph. This created an immediate wall of smoke that blinded the trailing field, collecting championship heavyweights including Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, and William Byron. The carnage decimated the entry list, leaving the garage area filled with over $3 million in destroyed machinery. This moment underscored the razor-thin margin of error inherent in modern superspeedway racing, where a 3-inch difference in bumper alignment results in total catastrophe. Despite being the flashpoint of the wreck, Wallace displayed uncommon composure. He refused to deflect blame or ignite a feud, famously stating that his team simply needs to learn how to be pushed better in these high-draft scenarios. This reaction signaled a shift in the garage hierarchy, framing Wallace as a maturing leader rather than a reactionary driver. But survival is only half the battle. None of this history happens without a visual celebration that will be replayed for the next decade. Make sure you subscribe right now, because what comes next in this story gets even more interesting. After surviving the carnage, Carson Hocevar secured his maiden Cup Series victory in his 91 ST career start, fending off a charging field by a razor-thin margin of 0.114 seconds over runner-up Chris Buescher. The final laps were a masterclass in defensive positioning. During a chaotic 3-lap sprint to the finish, Hocevar absorbed a heavy hit from Ricky Stenhouse Jr. that nearly derailed his afternoon, forcing his number 77 Chevrolet into high-speed contact with Eric Jones. Hocevar maintained control, utilizing the clean air of the lead to hold his position until a final lap accident froze the field. The celebration that followed became an instant viral sensation. Eschewing the traditional burnout, Hocevar performed a rodeo-style celebration, sitting high on the door ledge of his moving car while steering. This wasn't a spontaneous act of adrenaline, but a calculated manifestation of a lifelong obsession. In the media center, an emotional Hocevar reflected on the journey, stating, "This is the biggest dream I've ever thought of." He later admitted he had visualized this exact win and celebration for years, proving that for this new generation, the branding and the victory are inseparable. The win was massive on its own, but it was a surprise phone call during the press conference that proved how much the NASCAR world is changing. The victory at Talladega served as a cultural bridge between the rigid world of professional stock car racing and the chaotic energy of internet car culture. Shortly after the checkered flag, while Carson Hocevar was still being fitted with microphones for his post-race obligations, he received a phone call from YouTube star Cleetus McFarland. This unscripted interaction saw McFarland tell the young driver, "I knew it was coming," referencing the inevitable breakthrough of a talent often viewed as polarizing by traditionalists. Hocevar responded in kind, telling the digital creator, "You're going to win one soon," acknowledging McFarland's own recent narrow miss in an ARCA Series race. This exchange validates Hocevar as a new breed of athlete who prioritizes authenticity over the polished, corporate persona typical of the 2010s. By openly associating with raw, emotional, and flawed internet personalities, Hocevar is tapping into a massive, younger demographic that views racing through the lens of viral moments and lifestyle content rather than just box scores. This connection is not merely social. It is a strategic alignment with the new media landscape that defines modern sports marketing. While the celebration was all smiles, the veterans in the garage were sounding an alarm about the actual racing. While the viral celebration grabbed the headlines, the post-race debrief revealed a stark disconnect between the spectacle and the cockpit. Veteran drivers used the media sessions to vent their frustrations regarding the next-gen car's superspeedway specifications. Joey Logano was particularly vocal, criticizing the round bumpers and high-drag aerodynamics that make precision pushing nearly impossible. Despite the pack racing intensity seen on television, the reality for the drivers was one of strategy paralysis. The current package creates a binary experience, stagnation or destruction. Ryan Blaney summarized the technical frustration, stating, "We're either fuel-saving or we're running all over each other." This lack of a middle ground meant that for large portions of the race, drivers were forced into 50% throttle to save gas, as the cars are too unstable to sustain a third lane of racing. Chase Elliott confirmed this tactical limitation, noting that even with a 4th place finish, the field was effectively locked into two lines with no room for lateral movement. This framing transforms the perception of the victory. It wasn't just a win, but a survival feat against a flawed product. The race was less about traditional passing and more about managing a car that Logano described as being on a razor's edge at all times. The veterans might be worried about the cars, but one team owner is making it clear that they are no longer just satisfied to be there. This victory marks a definitive turning point for Spire Motorsports, transitioning the organization from a backmarker operation into a legitimate Cup Series powerhouse. For years, the team was associated with plate luck after their 2019 win at Daytona was cut short by rain. However, team co-owner Jeff Dickerson was quick to differentiate this performance from past flukes, emphasizing that this win was earned through raw speed and tactical execution over the full race distance. Dickerson and Carson Hocevar have often joked that they are literally in the video game, a self-aware nod to how quickly they have ascended from a virtual-to-reality pipeline into the upper echelon of the sport. The data supports this video game level of progression. With this win, Hocevar has surged to 8th in the driver standings, placing him ahead of perennial champions and well-funded veteran programs. This isn't just about a trophy. It's about a fundamental shift in the garage hierarchy. By securing a win on track in the most volatile environment in sports, Spire is signaling that they are no longer a temporary home for charter leasing or satellite experiments. They are building a long-term contender around a driver who treats every lap like a high-stakes simulation. From a 26-car big one that sidelined the heavy hitters to the rodeo celebration that lit up social media, Talladega proved that the youth movement in NASCAR isn't coming. It's already here. The transformation of Spire Motorsports into a top-tier organization is underpinned by aggressive capital investment and high-profile talent acquisition. In 2023, the team made a monumental $40 million purchase of a charter from Live Fast Motorsports, signaling an end to their era as a low-budget underdog. This expansion coincided with the signing of championship-winning crew chief Luke Lambert and a technical alliance with Hendrick Motorsports, providing the number 77 team with elite engine data. Jeff Dickerson's strategy mirrors a corporate takeover of the mid-pack. By moving into a new 46,000 square foot facility in Concord, North Carolina, formerly occupied by Kyle Busch Motorsports, Spire has centralized its operations to professionalize every pit stop and win tunnel session. This structural depth allowed the team to withstand the volatility of Talladega, proving their equipment can now match the four horsemen of the garage. As Carson Hocevar continues to outperform veteran peers, the industry is forced to acknowledge a new reality. Spire is no longer just a platform for rookies. It is a destination for high-level sponsorship and Tier 1 engineering. "We aren't here to play a role in someone else's story," Dickerson remarked during the post-race debrief. The team has effectively bridged the gap between a startup and a staple, ensuring that their presence in the top 10 is a permanent fixture of the NASCAR landscape. The success of 2024 at Talladega represents a seismic pivot in the sport's identity, moving away from the button-down corporate era toward a decentralized, personality-driven future. This shift is quantified by the record-breaking social engagement metrics generated by non-traditional media collaborations, which outpaced standard broadcast highlights by double-digit margins. NASCAR is no longer just a weekend event. It has integrated into a 24/7 digital ecosystem where a driver's online presence is as valuable as their qualifying speed. This new reality is built on the arrival of digital native athletes who embrace transparency over polished PR. For fans who once feared that the sport was becoming a moving billboard for faceless brands, the rise of raw talents like Hocevar provides a definitive solve. These drivers are not just steering cars, they are content creators who understand that high-stakes racing is the ultimate theater for their personal brands. By the end of the Talladega weekend, the narrative had shifted from a debate over car aerodynamics to an acknowledgement of a generational changing of the guard. Spire Motorsports and their young roster have proven that the traditional path to victory, spending decades in the garage, has been disrupted by simulation-trained pilots and data-driven startups. The loud kid with potential has officially become a Cup Series winner, signifying that the future of NASCAR isn't a distant goal. It is the current, high-speed reality. Drop a comment below and tell me whether you think Hocevar is the real deal or whether Talladega just got him lucky. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit that button right now, because we break down every race at this level every single week, and you do not want to miss what comes next.